Hello, what is up? My name is Vincent. I'm super excited to be here because today we're talking about one of my favorite card games of all time, KeyForge. Now, KeyForge is a game that I absolutely love. I jumped on the bandwagon as soon as it came out. To me, it sort of reminded me of like Borderlands a bit as a card game, just having this like fantastical, colorful, fun vibe with a lot of humor, but merging some sci-fi elements and taking like vault keys, forging vaults, opening vaults, that kind of thing, and procedurally generated, of course, one of the biggest components of both KeyForge and Borderlands. As a Borderlands fan, I just jumped in, but regardless of if you're a Borderlands fan or not, you're here because you like KeyForge like I do. And let me tell you, KeyForge multiplayer, in my opinion, is my favorite way to play the game. I love playing with tons of friends. I like playing with 3 or 4 people. Normally, when I hang out with friends, it's normally multiples of us. It's not just one other person. And so by default, KeyForge wouldn't be the best game for us to play, or so you think. So with this KeyForge multiplayer format, we're on VindicatedEntertainment.com, which is our website, so be sure to check that out if you haven't yet. We have a link for that in the description below. But anyways, I've been running this rule set for the KeyForge multiplayer since the beginning, and it's worked out, maybe with slight revision. I don't know if we've revised much at all, but it's just worked out so wonderfully. All of our friends have tons of fun playing it, and I highly recommend this. Whenever I so if you didn't know, I'm actually a game designer. I have several published games underneath my belt. I love designing games. I've been doing it ever since I was a little kid, and my go-to for design is to make things as streamlined as possible, to make it as easy to understand as possible. The less questions that get brought up, the less confused people are, the less headaches people get, I think the better. So anytime I design a rule set, that is what takes priority. And then right underneath that is trying to enact things that like are like flavorful, things that like invoke the theme and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to multiplayer format, we don't really have to worry about the flavor of the theme. I mean, KeyForge carries itself as far as its theme. There's not necessarily like a theme that we're trying to capture when it comes to multiplayer, as long as you're playing with multiple people. So with this article, I actually make the argument that KeyForge is actually designed and is actually very fun for multiplayer. And then I go into the rules. So we have everything sort of in these like 5 or 6 rules. The reason why I say 5 or 6 is because the last rule is the rest of the game is played as normal, so that's kind of just like a default rule. But basically, you want to play with the first to forge 2 keys wins. Unless you want a very long game, you can go with more than 2 keys. But I'd say 2 keys is good for your like sort of like base starting standard point that I recommend. Board effects such as Tentacus and Poison Wave affect all opponents or all players, depending on how it's worded. If it would normally affect you and an opponent, then it will affect everyone. If it normally just affects like all of your opponent's stuff, then it affects all of your opponent's stuff in multiplayer. Actions that aren't board effects, such as bait and switch and control the weak, only target one opponent. You can attack or target any opponent with any of your cards. Captured Amber always goes to the person who deals with the creature. So if someone captures Amber from me, the next player kills that creature, they get to take the Amber from it. This also works with exalted creatures. And then the rest of the game is played as normal. It's very streamlined, very simple. It's very intuitive. It all makes sense. Now, I know some people want to make it so you have like color-coded things, and then the Amber, everyone has their colors, and Amber goes back to the person who like has that same color coding. I think that's okay if you want to play that way with that slight change. You might not have enough colors though. It might be tough, struggling with colors. I'm colorblind, so anytime color gets brought into the conversation, I get a little bit nervous. And I just think it kind of muddies the waters. It makes the game maybe a little bit slower, stuff like that. There's a lot of people trying to come up with multiplayer rules, and I see them write out an entire list. Like they write out like 30 different rules and all these things you have to keep track with, and it's like almost like you have to have the website on hand just to look at, just to make sure that you're following the rules correctly. And I just think that's not the way to go about it. I think it needs to be simple, straightforward, easy to play. It makes sense. Whenever I show this to new groups of people, we're all able to jump in and understand it right out the gate, especially if you know how to play KeyForge. I mean, it's just very simple at that point. But anyways, that is the rule set for KeyForge multiplayer. So be sure to tell me what you thought about it, what you think about KeyForge multiplayer. Let me know if you gave it a try and what you thought. And if you like this video at all, please give it a like. A good old thumbs up helps out a lot in the YouTube's algorithm, especially since we're a smaller channel. And be sure to subscribe for more unique KeyForge content, We have some new other like card game content, RPG stuff. We're going to be doing a Bunkers and Badass session. We're going to be doing Avatar Last Airbender RPG when that comes out early next year, and tons of fun stuff. So be sure to stick around for that, and we'll catch you next time. Stay awesome.
Guess I have no choice. It's time to save the world.